a lot of minions having 1 health, so not necessarily having a good target for it. So I think running them together makes more sense than running just Guardian Og Merchant. But the Bone Chewer itself, I feel, is more useful if you're hoping to run this Face Hunter into the likes of Handlocked, decks that run AoE, so Mage as well. Whereas the Divine Shield on that minion, I don't think is that much of a threat for Rogue to deal with because they have a lot of 1 damage effects. Still good to have more curve options though in general, because for Hunter, it's really all about trying to get damage through minions in the first 2 to 3 turns, I would say, and then you very quickly shift over to either a Rhino game plan or a Burst Spell game plan.
Trahison here holding the Shroud of Concealment, which, even though I think is a debatable pick, it does, I think, show that his head is in the right place in the matchup, because you're not necessarily trying to contest board from turn 1 and lock down the game immediately. It's about making a swing turn, and Shroud of Concealment, obviously ideally with prep, is what you're looking for to get it down early, but it does just give you that little bit of extra fuel, hopefully find you that Octobot to get a big swing turn, which is what you need to turn things around.
But for now, though, I think he does have to use the coin to get rid of the Intrepid Initiate. Gonna see what's in this One Thief first before he commits Brain Freeze. These are all so expensive. I think it's probably just... I was gonna say Apexis Blast for a burst later on, but he goes Mask of Cthulhu, which is like more value for money, I want to say, in terms of damage.
Right.
But it comes online so late that I wonder if he'll ever get the chance to play it.
She'll have to see. It's kind of a poor start for Alan. You're obviously killing off the One Thief here just to play around value trades or any kind of Shadow Step nonsense as well. But then for Trahison, the keep of the Shroud is all of a sudden looking pretty strong. He's actually able to just play it on 3 into very possibly a clear board.
Yeah, if Alan doesn't top deck something good here, it could be a disaster. That's a hero power. Uh-oh. But actually not that bad, because his hand finally has a plan though. It's very cohesive. It's Wrangler into the other Rhino and then play 2 7/6s with 3 charges on this True Aim Crescent. It's kind of powerful.
Yeah, it can get there with a lot of burst, but Trahison now needs to be very cautious as to how he approaches this. I think Kazakus is fine, right? The Rhino can attack into that and then you can hope to clear it off on the following turn. Does get deal 3, which is very interesting on a 5 cost, because if the Rhino attacks in, it will be at 3 health left over, right?
Yeah, that's sweet. Honestly, I wasn't sure if he was meant to take 5 cost at all, because if you don't get one of these shooty or reactive golems, then it's very, very slow into a Rhino board. I felt like the 1 cost maybe afforded him a bit more flexibility with his mana the next turn, but wait, he took Rush Copy, which will then actually allow him to deal with both minions without having to face tank the 3/4, but he will be left with a damaged golem at the end of it. Assuming that it is Rhino this turn, which I do think it absolutely is for Alan still.
Does feel that way, doesn't it? He's at least considering Imprisoned Felmore, just to make sure it does something this game, otherwise you're more or less consigning it to be a dead card in hand. But I agree, I think you accept that and you just play the Rhino, and could theoretically still be like Piercing Shot Felmore next turn if there's not a good Rhino target.
Gets to push the 3 face and the 4 from the Rhino, playing the one that he drew from the Wrangler to give Trahison less information. Nice to see. And he's just gonna push the weapon face as well, not expecting to get the other Rhino to live more than 1 turn. Fair enough.
Yeah, especially with Rinlings as well, there's a reasonable chance he'll need to overwrite the last charge if he doesn't swing.
Ooh, stepping the Golem is Trahison here. It's kind of slow, but it does delete the Piercing Shot target, so this turn from Alan is relatively weak.
I kind of like it. I think if your opponent hero powered on 3, there's honestly a reasonable chance they have second Rhino in hand already, because there's not much else that they wouldn't play apart from like Piercing Shot and Rifle. So I think it's fine. I think you have a good shot of being able to get a lot of pressure on the board and denying them a strong Rhino target for a turn.
It has to be right now. The golems come down as 5/5s, and I think he's supposed to play as much other pressure as he can get. Oh, he goes Shroud. It's the Octobot. Okay, so now he can do every... Oh, wait, no, it's not a golem turn. Is fast enough? I'm concerned.
I mean, it's a lot of pressure he can put on board. Like, he can like low-key get more than 10 attack this turn if he really wants to.
But the thing is, if he plays these minions, that's Rhino targets, right?
True, yeah,
so it's more immediate damage for Alan. And if he doesn't play the minions, then he needs to take a whole other turn to set up a 2-turn lethal. I don't even think he can get lethal on board immediately, maybe with the mask. But I just don't think Trahison has that much time. I'm scared for him. Alan's just pushing this 5 with the piercing shot and the hero power as well. That means that he has, at the minimum, Rhino hero power and swing next turn for, I guess, if the Rhino eats a 1 health minion, that's like 9 damage, lethal.
Yeah, it's just lethal guaranteed next turn. He's looking for, I guess, card draw because he wants to find the contacts, but there's nothing you can even really get at this point. Oasis Ally doesn't stop the Rhino. Brain Freeze doesn't stop the Rhino.
I was going to say a secret maybe helps you bluff Ice Barrier, but Alan is always going to attack the Rhino into the minion first, so he'll know that it's not Ice Barrier and that he can send Weapon Swing Face as well. Counter Spell prevents non-Rhino lethals potentially, but we can see Alan had it set up from the beginning. Rhino's not just going to push 6, it's pushing 12.
Big win.
Unless the Felmaw eats the Og Merchant. Hold on. Then you can Rhino the One Thief for 5 damage, swing face for 6, and it's still not lethal?
Oh, really?
No, wait, I think I found it. You can Rhino, swing into the One Thief. Oh, he's killing the One Thief, and then hit into the Golem. Wait, I'm so confused.
Swing into the Octobot, right? Like, this is still just lethal.
Yeah. There is, even if the Felmo eats something.
Yeah.
Yep, it works. There is no secret that prevents it either.
You're correct, yeah. The Ellie, of course, doesn't summon it as a new target. It just summons the Water Elemental if it was Oasis Ally.
Yep, so swings into Octobot. That's just going to deal the 4 as well. Man. It seemed like it was coming together for Trahison, but it was one turn too slow.
Yeah, and it was a weird game, right? Because even, like, you say that picking the 5-cost Golem instead of 1 was weird, which I absolutely agree with, or at least interesting and a debating point. Whether or not you even play the Kazakus was an interesting point on that turn, because he has a bunch of 1-cost minions. He could have tried to just go wide on the board a little bit earlier. I know he's expecting Rhino, but I think we saw a similar situation from Tiz yesterday, right? Where, yes, they have Rhinos. Yes, you don't want to play on the board, but you lose more slowly anyway if you're not putting forward any kind of a win condition. Like, by hoarding all these resources, even with field contact off the top, I would be very surprised if that was lethal for Trahison on that turn.
Yeah, I don't think it was close. You do, as Rogue, have to land a board and have it stick for a turn, which it will generally stick outside of the Rinling's rifle. But the thing is, like, your board has to come online and you need to survive a potential Rhino dealing, what, 5-10 damage if you play those small minions. And hopefully get the counter lethal. It's difficult to set up in that situation for sure. And that's why picking lifesteal if it's available on Kazakus is so premium. I don't think Trahison had the option here. But there was also just the choice of Rush Copy versus Shoot 2, which he also could have thought about, because I was thinking you take Shoot 2 if there's Rhino, then you shoot the 7-3, right? And a 3-4. You face tank the 3-1 by that point, but your Golem is fully intact at 5 health, and it's tough for Alan to beat that type of board presence. Just so many different ways you can approach it. But for now, Trahison's moving on to the mirror. Doesn't actually want to queue Demon Hunter into this, which I'm surprised, because I felt like OTK Demon Hunter has a pretty good matchup versus Face Hunter.
Me too. I liked the counter queue as well. I mean, Trahison did sweep with his Hunter yesterday. Maybe he likes his build without the Bone Chewer Brawlers a little bit more, but I don't know. I have my reservations. We'll have to see. He has Coin Felmore obviously available. The sooner you get that online, the better. But he did throw one away in his mulligan, so he's clearly not enthralled by the idea of having a Felmore at the start of the game.
Yeah, it's not that great of a card in the mirror because Felmaw is best against decks that either don't play minions or they play minions that have high health, low attack, right? If your Felmaw trades into a 2-1, that feels kind of icky. especially if there is the possibility to put Divine Shield on anything, which Alan has access to right here. Alternatively, he could just go Bone Chewer Brawler value trade.
Oh, it's really complicated, actually. I would hear the merit for any way to spend your mana apart from hero power on this turn. I think they all have some amount of merit, right? Like, you can go Neophyte into Bone Chewer Brawler plus the Orc Merchant next turn to guarantee yourself the target of the Brawler. You can go with this line, of course, to go as wide as possible, but it does mean you're potentially floating a mana next turn.
Yeah. Honestly, I was leaning towards either Brawler or Neophyte. Like, Neophyte preventing coin for one more turn is pretty relevant. I guess the 3-cost breakpoint isn't that big for Hunter. Like, it's really only Mancryk that they have that's proactive, but it can prevent them from going 1+2 or 2+1 if they need to play a 2-drop and get the Adorable Infestation. But as it happens, the Mancryk is not a problem for Alan here. He gets such a sick trade into it. He goes for the Neophyte here, which I don't think Alan is expecting it to be particularly disruptive, but it is preventing tracking plus the Cult Neophyte here.
I think trahison is praying for a wife at this point as well, because outside of that, he is just so far behind on board. Maybe a Rinling's Rifle to get Explosive Trap could start to pull him back in, but he's just been on the back foot from turn 2.
Just how it happens in the mirror when your opponent is on the play and they do have the 1-drop. And Alan's curve is perfect. Rinling's is so good in the mirror here. Open cages.
Oh. Yeah, that's so likely to go off as well, right? It's so difficult to clear off 2 minions.
Yeah. Ah.
Over.
Even if you piercing shot something, the open the cages is going to go off, and he's nowhere near being able to raise Alan. I don't think even wipe off the top next turn would be good enough for him.
Yep, agreed. Huffer as well. Oh, pure fire from Alan. And then, like, I don't even know if Barrack's necessarily the best play. Like, hero power Bone Chewer Brawler, no matter what you do, you're getting the win this game.
I mean, Barrack is the best play, but all of them win, I agree.
Yeah.
Man, this was a slaughter again. Trahison only left on OTK Demon Hunter now. This series has been going by in the blink of an eye.
Oh, 2 games down. Alan is an absolute beast, somewhat appropriately, for being 2-0 up on his Face Hunter. Only the Demon Hunter left over for Trahison. And again, similarly to all the other Japanese players, aside from Okashinsuke, of course, who marches to the rhythm of his own drum, it is the pure OTK. No brutes to be seen here in this list, which again, I think is a decent matchup against Face Hunter, right? You have Fellscream Blast to clear the board, you have plenty of card draw, plenty of removal, plenty of healing, even the I-beams in there if you needed a little bit extra.
They're back in, the I-beams. I think this is just favored for OTK Demon Hunter. This was... my knowledge of the matchup is focused more before Il'gynoth even got nerfed, but the deck looked largely the same here, and Il'gynoth wasn't really even your win condition in the matchup. Like, you hardly ever play it down when it's not lethal, and you just kind of remove the hunter's threats and heal out of range. Like, you can eventually Il'gynoth to kill them, but it's nowhere near as relevant as of a nerf compared to some of the other ones in the meta at the moment, say Perpetual Flame, which is necessary for Shaman, I think, to have a lock on this matchup. The Demon Hunter, I suppose the downside is Glide is not particularly good in the matchup. You're oftentimes giving the Hunter cards, but outside of that, I think Demon Hunter is looking pretty good.
Oh, Felmore in this matchup, though, sounds exactly like what you were describing, right? No minions being played at the start, very likely to go face on turn 3. Good boy.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe a big reason why it has made its way back into these lists. These Hunter lists, they seem to go back and forth between Felma and Wriggling Horror, and then Tracking and Arcane Shot or True Aim Crescent. It's all similar recipes. Ooh. So obviously getting Felma online as soon as possible is enticing, but if he has to use the coin here, these 2 Intrepid Initiates are staying 1/2s for the near future. I'd be inclined to just play the 2 1/1s. Sorry, 1-cost minions.
Right, so what about 1 Initiate, and then next turn Initiate coin Felmore allows you to get the attack buff on both of them.
That's true.
And you actually get more damage down next turn, right? Oh, sorry, not more, but a roughly equivalent amount.
Yeah, I mean, assuming the other 3-2 initiate gets to attack, you do net more damage, even over a 2-turn window, right? Because it'll deal 3 times as much. But there's no guarantee that it's able to attack necessarily, especially in a deck with I-Beam, or sorry, versus a deck with I-Beam. Trahison with the Insta-Immolation Aura, that's the big punish, obviously. Alan did not want to see that, but he at least has the decent follow-up of the Felmo. This is not quest completion for Trahison.
It's not, which is why I'm actually just looking at actually play the snake rather than trade it. I know it doesn't destroy a weapon, but it just puts something in the way of the Felmore, and 4 health is relatively difficult to clear at this point. Like aim shot, quick shot, neither of them quite do it.
I agree. I also just want him to have that glide in non-outcast position in particular for next turn, so you can just play that, not worry about giving Alan more cards. And then have his first quest completed that way, which involves not playing acrobatics on the previous turn. Ooh, big draw for Alan though, to be able to deal with the Rust-Rot Viper, huh?
I don't know what that BM is alluding to. Like maybe he thinks he's getting glided or something? I don't know. Either way, a pretty decent turn actually here for Trahison, picking up both Sigil, Tusk Piercer, even the Moarg and Immolation. That's a clear on the following turn for the Felmore if you really needed it.
That's huge. Moargs are 2-ofs in the deck, of course. 1 philosophy only though, so it becomes... Like, the Moargs are useful resources, right? You need to have them for the truly big healing breakpoints, so I don't think Trahison's at the point where he would happily get rid of this. But if the board is this much pressure, fair enough.
Yeah, that's something at least. You can see what he gets off the top. Start with going for quest completion on this turn, which is of course very doable. Fellscream Blast is very interesting. Now if he can get himself another Moarg, a Philosophy, a Guild Trader perhaps as well, he can clear and heal and get a board in play.
But it starts with drawing more stuff than this. I think he's overriding the weapon here. Yep. Trading back the Peddler.
Yep.
See what she gets.
Oh, I mean, it's okay.
I think this means you just chill, right? With Alan to commit more, because you have this 6-point AoE heal removal as well.
Yeah, this hand absolutely stinks of Rhino.
Reason really needs more card draw. As the Demon Hunter, you can very conscientiously abuse the damage breakpoints of Hunter. If you can stay alive at 1 against max damage output, it is a lot of the time correct to do that, just so you catch even more of their resources in your AoE. But Trahison is not alive on board because he'll know about aim shot, quick shot in hand. So he does have to rip some of this, which means walking into a potential Rhino turn. He could go for like fellow Moarg Immo, but if you don't heal here, Alan very possibly just doesn't play minions for the rest of the game and then wins off of hero power. So I agree, it does have to be the Fellscream Blast turn. He's back up to full. Alan can deal with these really easily with the Rhino and push 7 damage.
Right, yeah, I mean, depends what you want to fill out the rest of your turn.
That's not wrangled, right?
It's not wrangled, yeah, so it depends what Demon Companion you get. But you can still push a fair bit, right? Like 3 and 2. If you hit Kolek, you are actually still doing the 7, I think.
Yeah. And Rafa, actually, so...
Yeah. Or 6, actually. Yeah. But yes, effectively you are still doing a reasonable chunk of damage, no matter what.
Okay. There is the 5 damage from Alan. He's on... I mean, that's a guaranteed extra draw he gets, right? Because you put it back, then you draw it back, and then you put it back. And, okay.
Oh, there you go.
I see.
Okay, this other Fellscream is huge. So is the I-Beam.
So what are you doing? Are you
I-beam
going...
the Rhino, Hero Power swing the Kolak.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Like, you do end up floating quite a bit of mana, but that's not too bad, I think.
Agreed, yeah.
Grow impatient.
Counting up some sort of damage in AlanC's hand right now, and he's concluded that he would rather Immolation Aura this. He knows right now AlanC's hand is almost entirely spells.
Yeah, I guess he wants to double up on I-beam as well as Fellscream Blast in order to maximize his healing, which is reasonable.
Sure. There is a world where there's just never enough Fellscream targets here, but if there's not any supplemental damage from board, Alan takes a long time to kill Trahison here.
Yeah.
The Trahison's banking on Alan, trying to put forth another wave of threats, but these are not really it. If you could take a combination here, sure.
Okay, that's at least a little annoying with the Orc Merchant on it, and the problem is you really need to start chewing through this hand, right? So you want to go aimed shot hero power so that you can go aimed shot Orc Merchant, probably what you draw, and quick shot next turn, because you do want to draw off that ideally this game.
I agree. Hero power first, I guess. Wants to stack the big hero power all at once. It's sometimes relevant, depending on Trahison's heal break points. Okay, I would like to start with the studies, because if you got a skull here, I think you're ripping it.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, interesting. I mean, you have so much healing already. I'm almost leaning towards Kurtrus just to have some actual presence in play.
Leaning towards Glide.
Wow, okay.
And non-outcast it, right? He can trade back the Peddler, play Ivy,
True.
Glide.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That gets his Kurtrus in hand.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I know they're still likely to have mostly spells. The problem is that with one Fellscream and both Immolations used, he's relatively likely to draw a removal-less hand afterwards, which can get scary if they do manage to top deck Rhino or Wrangler or anything, really.
Well, fair enough. I'm just worried about Trahison's chances of completing quest. I mean, he doesn't have to complete it, but he needs to get to Il'gynoth at some point to close out the game. This is not a hand that lets you just tempo out Moargs and win off of that.
True.
Okay, Alan sending everything to the dome. I think he is meant to just play everything but the quick shot here. It is unfortunate he's giving Trahison targets, but quick shot needs to draw.
That's an upgrade. Probably.
I mean, you could hold off on one of the 1/1s if you want. That also gives you a target for piercing shot, I suppose. And the 1 mana is very easy to spend to next turn.
Sure. Fair enough. Okay. Quest probably spoken for now.
Does look that way, doesn't it?
Counting something.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, is it how much healing he can do? How much damage he has, actually, more likely? Because with Moarg, an Arcanist as well, like, this is a fair chunk of damage he can deal if he draws Il'gynoth now, especially with the I-beam.
Do you think he just plays the Arcanist, though, to continue drawing with the acrobatics?
Yep. Agreed.
You don't need the Arcanist to deal lethal with Il'gynoth at this point.
Ooh, okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
Play one of these I-beams. Hero power down the Marcel. Alan is gassed out.
He's in trouble. He is very much in trouble. We need to see, I don't know, Burn, Rhino, something, because this hand right now is just not even doing anything.
Oh, the Og Merchant's so awkward. Poor Marcel didn't deserve this.
That is definitely not an upgrade. Okay, Cult Neophyte, I don't know, it makes it more awkward for them on their turn. Like, realistically, Alan knows this game is over. He's just trying to play to the very, very fringe outs. But I think now with Kurtrus and then, I don't know, just like Kurtrus I-beam, yeah, that's probably good enough.
Yeah. I think that's fine. He just wins the game every single time next turn with all of this card draw.
Yeah.
You can even play the 4-cost I-Beam because mana is plentiful.
And really, with this looking like such a dominant performance from Trahison, it begs the question, why didn't he queue it last game? Why wait to do the Face Hunter mirror first with what looked like a dominant display? Like, Alan never even got his foot in the door in that game. Very weird.
I have no clue, honestly. I think this is a Demon Hunter favored matchup. We can't really make the argument that Trahison is trying to save his Demon Hunter either for a matchup later, because you would have to high roll the mirror, which you cannot do reasonably. I don't think his list lends him any additional percentage or not a relevant amount of it to expect that it's a solid counter queue into the other Face Hunter. But it is a powerful deck that Trahison has left himself with. He does need to take 2 more wins on it, though, versus Alan's Handlock and Garrote Rogue, which are definitely doable for OTK Demon Hunter.
Yeah, I would argue that both are favorable. From what we've seen, Garrote Rogue can obviously get there in terms of a board-focused plan or more likely a burn plan, but again, like I say, I think that the time in which they do their combo is relatively similar. Maybe Rogue on average gets there 1 turn earlier than the Demon Hunter, but when you factor in the disruption that comes from Glide, things become an awful lot closer, and the same obviously applies with Handlock, although their combo, if you want to call it that, with Fatigue Lethal from Tamsin is obviously a long ways off in this deck, especially with the nerf to the quest, meaning that it takes 888 in terms of damage you have to deal to yourself rather than 678. It's still much slower, and while the threats are nice, Neophytes can get you there a lot of the time. That's really the only win condition. The glides, again, just mess you up so hard.
Alan's list is super interesting, though. A lot of one-ofs in there. The Tech of School Spirits, I'd imagine, is for Hunters. Not really going to do much versus Demon Hunters. But that one Altar of Fire is scam potential, Derek. That can be a win condition.
Oh, yeah.
Il'gynoth? Yeah?
Oh, I mean, that can absolutely get there. I mean, I was saying to some of my friends the other day that I think that Delete Warlock versus OTK Demon Hunter was one of the most toxic matchups I'd ever played in Hearthstone history, because double Altar of Fire in that matchup was just pure toxicness, like pure toxicity. All it was can they burn your win condition, and that was their only chance in the matchup. And I of course said that after 3 games in a row coming at the receiving end of burning Il'gynoth or second Fell Screen Blast or whatever. 3. Yeah, it was not fun.
Is it even more toxic than old Control Priest versus OTK Demon Hunter?
Not that bad. That trumps it. Elucia is... That's her crown. That's her crowning achievement in life, as being the most toxic card ever.
Alright. Well, Trahison just gonna go for a final showdown here. He did have the opportunity to push the 1 if he wanted, but he can just push the 1 this next turn with the Tusk Piercer hero power.
Just missed 1 damage.
No, it works out the same. If you push the 1, you go quest Tusk Piercer this turn.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's the principle of the thing, Gia. You'd know about these things if you were a push the 1-on-1 gamer.
Oh, it's the timing of it. I see.
Exactly. I did also get 3 Discord messages saying I pushed the 1 after Alutemu said it. So thanks, guys. You did your job.
It actually happened. Okay, well, this is guaranteed quest 1. Wow! With the Spectral side as well.
Yeah, that's huge. Now you get to keep the weapon intact.
Ilgi, this early is interesting.
Not terrible necessarily. Like, it more than likely gets shuffled back in with Glide at some point, but it opens up some possibilities if you get Fell Scream and Moarg off the next quest.
Yeah. There is also scam potential from the Demon Hunter side with the perfect sigil discounts. You know,
True.
If you sigil and quest discount a Moarg, it's doable even without Glide. Trahson's rubbing his hands together. I don't know why, because it might not be Glide time yet, but it could be because he has double jump and studies. So if he starts studies, then goes jump, it could be prime time Glide time. But for Alan here, there is opportunity to play around Glide if he likes. Or he could just rip the thing.
Is he doing the thing? Oh my god, he's doing it.
Oh, he's a gamer. Put the Ilgies in hand.
That's big.
Morg? Digital not super relevant. Acro's pretty relevant.
Yeah, it's pretty. It was not bad at all losing a Morg, especially when Trahison is only playing one philosophy. But the combo is online. Trahison's win condition still exists.
It is, but his card draw has been heavily impacted by the loss of acrobatics. That's one of your best ways to get the lethal after you've played Kurtrus. At the moment, he can still quite easily get Kurtrus. I think it probably means holding off for next turn to go double jump into Glide because of this Neophyte effect, but he's under very little pressure, so it's alright. And he can just go mildly scared apparently right now.
Tempo
He's a push
trainer.
the 7 gamer.
My man, I knew we were Trahison fans for a reason.
So that means coil targets for Alan. I think you probably coil a 1-1 and end up bolting a 5-4, but let's just see what's in the coil first. And you can tap with the tour guide, play the bolt after. He's just not committing to backfire with the threat of Glide ever looming, but still managing to, you know, keep his hand progressing the quest.
Very smart.
This is a good balance that Alan has hit here. In fact, he only ends up with 4 cards in hand right now.
Perfect. And it means that at any time, if he realizes that Glide isn't going to happen, he can then instantly play the backfire and start drawing through his deck. But again, it's just having the backfire in his deck. If he is glided here, even if he was at like 7 cards, it wouldn't be that bad because he has a higher chance of hitting backfire, which is the dream in a post-glide situation.
Having raised that and the other touch is big as well because they're cheap ways to keep discounting the giant, and if at any point this Glide gets played, that's a chance at finding giants. And I do think Trahison is meant to rip it here, even though it's not particularly disruptive to Alan. He needs to get his own quest done. We're repeatedly seeing this kind of new school of playstyle from Handlock. For a deck that looks as rigid as it is, you know, just like draw cards, get to the bottom of your deck, it seems like the playstyle of Handlock has adapted considerably depending on the matchup. Like versus Garrote Rogue, that whole mentality of condensing your threats did not immediately come to light.
Yeah.
Now there's this new way of playing around Demon Hunter by keeping your hand a bit narrower if possible. The Giant, however, is still kind of expensive. It's gonna tap here, not gonna play around second Glide after having just seen one. That's very reasonable.
Oh, he's so close. He just needed a raise dead there, and he was absolutely laughing. Giant playable, a huge threat on that turn. I mean, it's still big. Next turn, of course, potentially with the Neophyte on the same turn if you didn't want to go for it here. It's a little awkward as to how you're supposed to sequence it. But basically, he's got himself a very good hand for this point to be able to play Giant on 6.
So too. Again, apologies for the quest counter. Every step is 8 out of 8. The quest has been nerfed. Okay, these are not great, but he can still complete the quest with Swing and trade back Peddler.
Oh. Are they not great? Oh no, wait, it's Kurtrus. Oh, I thought these were getting reduced. Yeah, my bad. That would have been insane if they were reduced. You just had lethal next turn, I think. But yes, they are not great as it currently stands.
Pleasure doing business.
And that's the last Moarg. So
True.
Trahison's discounts are honestly very irrelevant at the moment. The Kurtrus is to help him maybe deal with the board for a couple turns, but it looks like he either has to hit the other Glide and put these back in the deck, or wait until he naturally gets to what looks like 10 mana to deal the thing. I mean, he can't do it even...
It's super expensive, yeah.
It's 11 even if you have to deal the 36 breakpoint.
Right.
This is the Moargs cost 2, Il'gynoth is 5, and Trahison's just getting rid of his Arcanist, or using the Arcanist here to not take so much damage. So I think his game plan really involves finding the other Glide to put these back in the deck.
Agreed. And while... yes, yeah. And while this does look like overkill, I will say that I actually really like this play from Trahison, because next turn, he has to play the Kurtrus to realistically be in this game. And if it was Giant to come down on that same board and he couldn't clear any of it, then he's in big trouble. He may just be dead on the turn after. Whereas now, really good shot of surviving the Kurtrus turn, or almost certainly. And from there, he can try and piece together this combo that at the moment is looking very raggedy.
Very raggedy indeed. Sigil is a great one to pick up from the same turn as playing Kurtrus. But now Alan has second giant and raised that. This has Neophyte in it.
So sick.
Neophytes. And he has the clear on the purchase with just Peggy and touch as well, since the giant's going to 0. But he does have to choose between full clear and Neophyte, right?
In which case you can go...
I really don't want to trade the giant in. I think you maybe just skip Neophyte this turn, maximize the threats, have 2 8/8s in play, and just set up for the Battle Master lethal.
Yeah, you're probably right. An 8-1 is really easy to clear compared to an 8-8. Yeah.
He can still go Tour Guide tap because he has that 1 mana spare if he doesn't play the Neophyte. Oh, sorry, has he already? He already tapped this turn. My bad.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I think then you probably just play the Tour Guide. Okay, he's leaving up the 7/7 then.
It's a big deal and does lower the breakpoint drastically in terms of the amount of damage that Trahison actually needs to do. That is a 0 mana Arcanist as well. It's above the 18 breakpoint, but it's kind of close. This is now 10 damage that he can deal on this turn, plus the 7 is 17, so still quite a ways off. No mana for Philosophy and extra Moog. It's also close, but not close enough.
It's got to be a clear turn of some measure.
Yeah.
I think he's free to start with the studies to see what's in there. I think you'd pick a Chaos Leech if it were available. Actually, then you probably start with the I-Beam, right? While it's an Outcast and cost 1. On the 3/3.
Demons.
Or actually, I-Beam a giant. You can trade it afterward, but
kind of need to trade in. Kurtrus is interesting, actually, though, right? It allows you to clear off most of a giant, and then you could go just like double I-Beam. I don't know.
Yeah. I thought Chaos Leech was also decent because Chaos Leech I-Beam plus trade I-Beam deals with both 8/8s. I think he still had the mana potentially to deal with it, but he went for the card draw instead. Ends up with Immolation Aura, which is amazing. He stays alive, isolates the giant. There is no Battle Master lethal.
And next turn, he's 1 mana off lethal, right? Because...
Just an I-Beam, though. It's like only 20 damage, right?
Only 20 anyway, yeah. It's not even lethal if he could play it all.
Yeah, he still needs the Fell Scream.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, round 2 from Alan. The threats don't stop here.
No, sorry. Oh, raised that as well is so good.
Yeah, that's insane. Neophytes and Giants all backbreaking for Trahison at this point.
Oh!
1 of each. I'll take that.
That's so sick.
But does he want Neophyte or another run? Neophyte, right? Based on the way you played the last turn. Like, you do float a lot of mana, but whatever, you got a 3/2, an 8/8, a 6/6 to supplement the 8/6 you already have on board and maximum disruption. I think that's well enough to beat down everything but the perfect hand from Trahison.
Agreed. Yeah, you just need to disrupt them with the Battle Master as well. There's no chance that if anything sticks on board, your opponent is surviving. Just about whether or not the lethal can be found on the next turn for Trahison. Obviously, even with a Neophyte in play, if he gets Fell Scream Blast off the top, it's still going to cost 0 because it's reduced by 2, thanks to the Kurtrus effect. So he has an out for lethal on the spot, but he has no mana to spare whatsoever.
That's right, and I think he's... Oh wait, there's still the other Immolation Aura as well, so potentially he could get Acrobatics into Immolation Aura and do this board again to survive. Oh, that's 1 mana to draw here. He can still get Acro from this. I don't think he has access to lethal anymore if he trades that away.
Wait, if he
Counting
trades
it
that...
twice.
If he doesn't play a Moog... Oh, I was wondering if he'd get there with I-Beam and like 18... No, it was still short, even with the I-Beam factored in.
So now this glide, I think you have to play a Moog first to give yourself the best odds of finding the Immo, because you need to get the Arcanist and Immo back, but he just goes glide first.
Another happy guilty.
Oh, it's all
To do
falling apart.
anything.
Moog,
Clear?
I-Beam, it's 4 damage. It's not a clear.
You can kill Giant and Neophyte and heal for basically full, right? But he would be...
That's all his combo pieces gone then, though, right? How does he win? Like, he has to go Moog, I-Beam, I think, and then just pray that he gets the perfect draws for lethal next turn.
Yeah, fair enough. Just pray there's no Battle Master here. I think that's the best out. Agreed. Very unlikely to work, but it's the best he's got. So backfire for Battle Master just does it for Alan here.
Straight up 50-50, right? You don't have mana to tap afterwards, but I think you're taking that shot.
And even if you miss, you're still in such a good spot.
Oh, he misses!
You can heal to full.
Yes. Yeah, he can.
Another 6/6. And then I think Alan's just taking the time to count whatever maximum damage Trahison has left, which for the nth time we can look at his deck because the glides keep making us forget there's still an Arcanist and a Guild Trader. So technically, Trahison still has access to 30, right?
Yeah, it's 15 doubled with the Moog. So really he just needs acrobatics, right? If he hits acrobatics, he can win this game.
Okay, Trahison sits up as soon as he sees the no Battle Master. It was the card. Acrobatics is the out for Trahison here. I don't know the total mana if he can ever go tradable into Acro and still get it. Probably his deck costs nothing except Il'gynoth at the moment, but it has to be perfect. Trade that.
Trade.
Acro.
No!
It's game. If he uses any of these combo pieces, he does no longer have access to lethal, so yeah.
Man, that is a rough one. Yeah, I mean, you can survive, but then with no, not even an I-Beam left, you literally don't have a win condition. He throws it down, and Alan, man, he's feeling it! A win last week, semi-finals this week. Gia, he's just making playoffs as it currently stands from being in literally last place at the start of last week.
Eric, at this pace, he's making worlds, not just playoffs.
Hell yeah.
Unstoppable at the moment. A lot of his fans love to see it. I think Sottle in particular will be very happy. But you know what? You and I are definitely happy for Alan as well. I think he played some very clean Hearthstone.
Oh, yeah.
Did have a slight discussion, I suppose, on whether that one turn going for the full clear on the Kurtrus or getting a Neophyte down, which one was better. Really tough to say, because there's breakpoints you allow by leaving the Kurtrus, there's easier clears you allow by leaving the Kurtrus, but by playing Neophyte, sometimes you just buy yourself a whole extra turn because Trahison needs to spend mana to get card draw. It's such an intricate matchup, one that I felt at the beginning was heavily Demon Hunter favored, but the way Alan played this early game, having that hand narrowed to the point where when Trahison went for Glide, it was not even disrupting Alan very much at all, just 4 cards for 4 cards. The plan just came together very nicely, and I think we have an incredible top 4.
Absolutely stacked. I could not be happier with this. We've got Give Please right up at the top. Alutembu just shortly behind him in 3rd place right now, trying to maybe sneak in a 1st or 2nd seed. Lambi Series, who has been right down at the bottom with 2-0-2 weeks in a row, maybe trying to make that style of run to get himself out of the potential relegation spot. And Alan, man, just absolutely on fire at the moment. A win last week, at least a semi-finals this week, and very possibly another finals appearance if he can get the win over Lambi. What a day of Hearthstone, and I just want to say as well, while we were very